I can't believe they're making you do this alone, Daniel whispered, leaning against the doorway. His eyes burned with the same anger I felt but tried to hide. I'll manage, I muttered, but my voice cracked. He shook his head. You don't have to manage. Not when it's unfair. I wanted to believe him, but I had learned the hard way that fairness didn't live in this house. Dad's busy, I said quietly. Mom won't say anything either. They'll just nod and look away. Daniel slammed his fist against the wall. Why are they like this? You've done nothing wrong and they act like you're the problem. I swallowed, the lump in my throat growing. It's always been like this. Uncle Richard, Aunt Linda, they never liked us hanging out. They see us as a threat. Daniel scoffed. A threat? We're kids. Just kids. I forced a laugh that sounded hollow even to me. Apparently being smart, being close, that's threatening to them. He stepped closer, lowering his voice. Listen, I don't care what they think. You're my brother and everything that matters. We promised we'd stick together. I know, I said. But promises don't mean much when everyone else is against you. A creak from the hallway made us both freeze. Uncle Richard's boots echoed, heavy and sharp. What are you two whispering about? His voice cut through the air like a blade. I straightened, trying to look calm. Nothing, sir. Just talking about homework. Richard's eyes narrowed. Homework? At this hour? He stepped into the room. Don't lie to me. I hear everything in this house. Daniel's jaw tightened. He's not lying. We were just. Stop defending him. Richard snapped, pointing at Daniel. You need to understand your place. And you, he turned to me, you're pushing boundaries again. I can't have this. What did I do? I asked, my voice small. Richard sneered. You know what? The missing money from my study. The papers. Where are they? I blinked. I didn't take anything. You know I didn't. Linda appeared behind him, her face pale but her eyes sharp. We found the drawer open and all the files were gone. Only you were near it. It's not the first time either. I shook my head, disbelief and fear twisting in my stomach. I swear. I didn't touch anything. Ask Daniel. He knows. Daniel stepped forward, fists clenched. He's telling the truth. I was with him the whole time. Linda's lips tightened. Excuses, excuses. You two think you're clever, don't you? You think you can outsmart us. Richard laughed, but it sounded cruel, not amused. Clever? No, it's arrogance. You've both been spoiled with false confidence, and now it's time to learn your lesson. I didn't do anything. I shouted, my hands trembling. Why would I even take it? Why would you even care about what we think? Linda said coldly. You've always been the problem, haven't you? Favoring each other, plotting against the family. Daniel growled. Stop it. Stop saying that. There's nothing wrong with caring for family, real family. You don't get to decide what's real, Richard said. You're just children. And children need discipline. I felt something break inside me. The anger I had held in, the shame I had swallowed, it all came flooding out. You're wrong. I screamed. You don't even see me. You never did. You hate me because I'm me. Linda's face hardened. Silence. We're adults here and we make decisions. You are no longer welcome to stay under this roof. What? Daniel and I said together, disbelief heavy in our voices. You heard me, Richard said, stepping closer. Pack your things. Leave. Tonight. Daniel grabbed my shoulder. You can't do this. Mom. Dad. They won't stop us, Linda said flatly. They never have. I turned to them, my parents sitting silently in the living room, eyes downcast. Why aren't you saying anything? Why do you let them do this? My father's voice was quiet, strained. I don't know what to say. They are your elders. They know what's best. What? Best for whom? Best for them? I shouted. My heart was pounding so hard it hurt. My mother shook her head, tears streaming silently. I can't. Can't? Or won't? I whispered, feeling hollow. Daniel put a hand on my back. Forget them. Forget this. You have me. Always. I looked at him, my chest tight. I don't want to leave, but what choice do I have? You don't, Daniel said firmly. You just have to survive. And we'll fix this one day. Together. I nodded, swallowing back the pain. Together, I repeated. It sounded like a promise we couldn't yet keep. Richard snapped his fingers. Move. But now. I went to my room, hands shaking, pulling clothes and a few books into a bag. Each item felt heavier than the last. I wanted to scream, to hit someone, but all I could hear was the silence of my parents' fear and the distant scolding of my aunt and uncle. Daniel came in, helping me fold what I could. "Remember," he said softly, "they only have power if you let them. One day we'll come back stronger. Just hold on." I wanted to believe him, but the knot in my chest was tight. I can't even look at them. Not after this. "You don't have to," Daniel said, his voice steady. "Just go. What? Survive. We'll see each other soon." I zipped the bag, my hands trembling so badly I nearly dropped it. This isn't fair." Daniel's eyes softened. "Life isn't fair. Not now, not ever. But we have each other. That's all that matters." I swallowed hard and nodded. The words felt empty, but I clung to them like a lifeline. As I walked toward the door, I turned back once. My parents sat frozen, silent. My mother's eyes glistened with tears. My father looked down, shame written across his face. I didn't look back again. Richard and Linda watched me leave, expressions smug, satisfied. I didn't feel fear anymore, just a burning fire that whispered I would rise one way or another. Daniel met me at the edge of the driveway, bag over his shoulder. "Let's go," he said, voice quiet but firm. I nodded. "Let's go." The night air hit me like a slap. Cold, sharp, cleansing. I felt the weight of the world pressing on my shoulders, but I also felt something else. Strength. Anger. Determination. "Where will we go?" I asked, almost hoping he wouldn't answer. "Anywhere but here," he said, a small smile touching his lips. "Anywhere we can breathe, anywhere we can start over." I followed him into the darkness, my heart heavy, yet beating with a strange, fierce hope. The house faded behind us, but the scar it left would never disappear. It would stay, reminding me who I was, what I had lost, and what I had to fight for. That night I didn't cry. Not fully. I let the pain settle into something useful. Anger became fuel, shame became resolve. And as Daniel and I walked away together, I realized that some families could betray you, but some bonds, the real ones, could never be broken. I walked through the empty streets, my bag heavy on my shoulder, and each step felt like I was carrying every word my family had ever thrown at me. I muttered under my breath, "How can they do this to me? My own blood." A shadow moved in the alley ahead. "You shouldn't be out here alone," Daniel said, his voice low but urgent. I turned, heart leaping. "Daniel, how did you find me?" "I follow you," he said, shrugging like it was nothing. "Not that it matters. You look tired." "I am," I admitted. "Everywhere I go I feel nothing. Betrayal sticks to me like a second skin." He stepped closer, lowering his voice. "Listen, I need to tell you something important. Something I shouldn't even be saying." I waited, curiosity and fear tangling in my chest. "What is it?" "The family, they're planning to cut me off too," he whispered, almost a confession. "If I keep helping you, they'll disown me. Completely." My stomach twisted. "Then what? We're supposed to just let them win? Let them tear us apart?" Daniel's jaw tightened. "No. But we can't fight them the way we are. Not now. We're too weak." I glared at him. "Too weak? We're the same blood, Daniel. How can you say that?" "I mean in this moment," he said quickly. "Physically, emotionally, we're exposed. If we stay, they'll destroy us both." I ran a hand through my hair, trying to think. "So what do we do? Sit here and wait for them to finish us off?" Daniel shook his head, eyes burning. "No. We disappear. We start over. Separately. You, me, the military. Different cities. Different lives. But one day..." "One day what?" I asked, heart pounding. "One day we'll come back," he said firmly. "Stronger. Together again. And then, we make them see what they lost. What they tried to destroy and failed." I swallowed hard. "And if something happens to one of us?" He met my eyes, steady and unwavering. "Nothing will happen. We're not weak. We just need a plan. A path away from them." I laughed, bitter but relieved. "So, disappear, rebuild, and come back like Avengers?" Daniel smirked, though it didn't reach his eyes. "Something like that. But it's not revenge. It's survival. And then, justice in its own way." I nodded slowly, realizing how heavy this all was. "I've never felt more alone." "You're not alone," he said sharply. "I'm here. And even if I disappear too, I'll find you. Always." I wanted to believe him. I wanted to cling to that lifeline. "Promise me," I said, voice trembling. "Promise me we'll make it." He extended his hand, rough and steady. I promise. On everything that matters. I shook it, feeling a weight lift slightly from my chest. That handshake wasn't just a promise, it was a goodbye to our old lives. I can't go back, I said quietly, almost to myself. Not as their son. Not as their nephew. I'm nothing to them now. You're everything to me, Daniel said fiercely. Everything we dreamed of together isn't gone. It's just, waiting. I clenched my jaw. Waiting for what? For them to die? For us to get rich? For what? For freedom, he said simply. For life without their control. That's enough for me. Isn't it enough for you? I looked at the ground, then back at him. It has to be. I don't want to stay broken. He nodded. Good. That's the first step. We stayed silent for a moment, letting the weight of our reality sink in. Then I asked, where will you go first? Different city, he said. You'll be alone for a bit. It won't be easy, but it's temporary. Just survive, remember our plan, and don't look back. I swallowed the lump in my throat. I'm scared. Good, he said softly. Fear means you care. Use it. Let it sharpen you. Let it make you strong. You'll see. The first nights are always the hardest. I thought leaving would feel freeing, I said. But it doesn't. It just feels empty. It's supposed to, Daniel said. Empty is good. It clears space for what's coming. Strength, skill, freedom. That emptiness, it's the canvas for your new life. I shook my head. You make it sound simple. It's not simple, he admitted. It's necessary. You either adapt or you break. And I don't see you breaking. I wanted to argue, but the truth burned inside me. I wasn't weak, not really. The fire in me had always been there, just buried under shame and fear. Okay, I whispered. Okay, we do this. We survive. Separately, then together. One day, Daniel echoed. We stepped closer. His hand gripped mine tightly again. This is it, he said. Your life begins now. And mine too. We'll disappear, rebuild, and eventually we'll reclaim what's ours. I nodded, gripping his hand back. It's terrifying. Good, he said. Let it terrify you. Let it fuel you. Don't waste a single moment feeling sorry for the past. It's over. I exhaled slowly, a mix of relief and pain. It's over, I said. But it hurts, leaving like this. I know, he said softly. But some doors close so others can open. This one hurts because it mattered. But it's closing for the best. I looked at the street, the shadows of lamplight stretching long and lonely. Then we start walking. No looking back. No hesitation. Daniel's hand squeezed mine once more. Exactly. Go. What? Learn. Fight. One day we'll meet again, not as the kids they tried to destroy, but as soldiers of our own lives. I nodded, feeling the weight of every insult, every betrayal, every empty glance from my parents, and I stuffed it deep inside. Anger and grief twisted together, forming something sharp and powerful. I'll make it, I whispered. For both of us. You will, he said. And so will I. We'll meet again stronger than ever. That's the promise. We let go, and I felt an emptiness that burned, but also something else, something fierce. Hope. Determination. A fire that wouldn't die. I started walking into the dark streets, each step feeling like it carried the weight of my past and the first breath of a new life. I wasn't their son anymore. I wasn't their nephew. I wasn't weak. I was alive. And I would survive. As Daniel faded behind the corner, I whispered to the night, I'm a survivor now. Nothing else matters. The moment I stepped onto the training ground, Sergeant Harris's voice hit me like a punch. Move. Faster. You call that a march? I swallowed hard, trying to match the speed of the other recruits. Yes, Sergeant. I yelled, though my lungs burned and my legs screamed. Your lungs are weak. Your legs are weak. You are weak. Harris bellowed, pacing behind us. I don't want excuses. I want results. Mark sneered beside me. Weakling, he muttered. Bet you can't even do 10 push-ups. I ignored him, focusing on Harris's sharp eyes. You think you can break me? I whispered under my breath. You better shut up, boy. Harris roared. Talking is for winners. You're not a winner. I clenched my fists, the anger from my family's betrayal fueling me. I'm not weak, I muttered. I will not break. Ethan, quiet as always, gave me a nod. He didn't say much, but it felt like support. Keep going, he said softly. You can do it. Do it. Mark laughed, loud enough for Harris to hear. He's going to puke before noon. I ignored him. Instead, I pushed harder, counting every step, every push-up, every run. My muscles screamed, my lungs burned, but I imagined Daniel beside me. "We survive," I whispered. "We survive and come back stronger." Harris paced closer. "Eyes up, soldier. Motivation isn't in whispers, it's in action. Move." "Yes, Sergeant," I shouted, forcing my legs to obey. Each step, each push-up, each drill became a small victory. Pain transformed into a rhythm. Rhythm became discipline. Discipline started to feel like control. During break, Mark smirked. "Still crying inside, huh?" I saw it. Little baby crying over his mommy and daddy. I stopped and faced him, breathing hard. "I'm not crying. I'm training. Something you wouldn't understand." He laughed, shaking his head. "Training? You look like a dying puppy." I clenched my teeth but didn't respond. I let Harris's whistle signal the end of the break. Action, not words, would prove me. Ethan came up beside me quietly. "Ignore him," he said. "You're stronger than you think." "Thanks," I said. "I hope you're right." Night fell and the barracks felt colder than the training ground. I lay on my bunk, staring at the ceiling. Thoughts of Daniel crept in. Had he survived his training? Was he being pushed to his limits too? My chest tightened. Mark snored loudly on the bunk across from me, mocking even in sleep. "I'll show him," I whispered to myself. "I'll be stronger than all of them. Stronger than Mark. Stronger than Harris." Ethan's breathing was calm. I envied him. "Teach me how to be calm," I muttered. "I can't sleep with all this in my head." "You will," he said. "Discipline makes it easier. Pain makes it easier too. You just need to survive it first." I sat up, fists still tight. Survive it? I can do that. I have to. The next day, Harris screamed at me for a mistake I didn't make. "Watch your footing," he yelled. "Do you want to die in the field because of laziness?" I shook my head, heart pounding. "No, Sergeant. I'm careful." "You're not careful. You're reckless. Move." I ran faster, jumped higher, pushed harder. Pain became fuel. Sweat stung my eyes, but I didn't care. Each command was a challenge I would conquer. Mark ran beside me, still mocking. "Hurry up, slowpoke. You're embarrassing yourself." I didn't answer. Instead, I imagined my parents' silence, Daniel's forced goodbye, the nights I felt abandoned. Anger coiled tight in my chest and I ran faster. By midday my body screamed. Push-ups, pull-ups, sprints, drills, I felt every muscle tear and rebuild. Harris barked and screamed, but I ignored him. I didn't need approval. I didn't need mercy. At dinner, Mark smirked again. "You think you're tough now?" I met his gaze calmly. "I'm surviving. Something you should try." He laughed, but I didn't care. I noticed Harris watching silently, perhaps for the first time. He hadn't said a word, but the way his eyes followed me made my chest swell with quiet pride. Later, Ethan leaned closer. "You've changed today." I saw it. I shrugged. "Maybe. Or maybe I'm just not letting them see me break." "Good," he said softly. "Keep it that way. Weakness is what they feed on. Strength is what you keep inside." That night, I lay awake again, staring at the ceiling, replaying my parents' silent faces. Each memory stung, but I let it burn into me. I whispered to the dark, "I will never be powerless again." Weeks passed. I stopped crying at drills. I stopped begging for comfort. I stopped longing for approval. Pain became a teacher. Discipline became my weapon. Strength became my new identity. Harris barked less at me. I noticed it. He still shouted, but there was a grudging acknowledgement. I earned respect through action, not words. Mark still mocked, but his voice lost its power over me. I no longer reacted. I focused on every step, every push-up, every obstacle. Pain was temporary, discipline permanent. Ethan's quiet support never wavered. "You've got this," he said one night, passing me water. "I've never seen anyone push through like you." I nodded, swallowing hard. "Thanks, Ethan. Means a lot." One early morning, Harris pulled me aside. "You're improving," he said gruffly. "Keep this up and you might survive this program." "Most don't." I clenched my fist. "I will survive. And I will be stronger than anyone here." He nodded, then walked away. The rare acknowledgement burned in my chest, a spark that grew brighter every day. That night, I wrote a letter in my head to Daniel. I imagined telling him, "I'm okay. I'm surviving. One day we'll meet again and I'll be stronger than ever." I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I didn't hope for their approval. I focused on the path in front of me. Each drill, each shout, each exhaustion brought me closer to control over my life. By the end of the month, I was no longer the scared boy who had been thrown out of a home that never wanted me. I was a soldier in training, molded by pain, sharpened by discipline, fueled by the anger that had once been my curse. I looked at my reflection in the small mirror by the barracks sink. My eyes were sharper. My jaw tighter. My shoulders steadier. I am taking control, I whispered. I will survive and I will rise. Ethan smiled quietly at me from across the room. You're different now. Don't lose it. I won't, I said. I have too much to gain, too much to prove. Mark muttered something under his breath, but I didn't hear it. I no longer cared. I was focused, disciplined, unbreakable. For the first time, I felt something I had never felt before. Power. Not over anyone else, but over myself. Pain had become strength. Anger had become fuel. Discipline had become control. And control, for the first time in my life, felt like freedom. I was running through the obstacle course when I saw him. My heart skipped. Daniel. Taller, stronger, his uniform crisp, his posture perfect. But his eyes, they were colder than I remembered. I stopped mid-run. Daniel? I whispered, barely daring to breathe. He froze too. Then his lips curled into a small, almost unreadable smile. I thought I'd never see you here. I swallowed hard. I didn't think I'd see you either. You look different. Life makes you different, he said softly. His tone was steady, almost detached. And this training, it changes you whether you like it or not. I stepped closer, trying to read him. You're okay, right? Survived all this. Daniel's jaw tightened. Barely. Every day was a fight. Every day I remembered why we left. Do you know my family tried to cut me off too? Just like you? I shook my head, disbelief stabbing me. They did that to you too? Yes, he said, voice low, almost bitter. They thought they could control me. That I'd obey. That I'd stay small. I didn't. And neither did you. I felt a weight lift and fall at the same time. So, we're both survivors. Yes, he said simply. And now we're here. Together again, finally. I nodded, my chest tight with emotion. I missed you, Daniel. Every day. I hoped you were alive, surviving somewhere. He looked away. I survived because I had to. Because I promised myself I'd never be powerless again. You know what that's like, don't you? I do, I said quietly. I thought I was alone. I thought no one understood. You weren't alone, he said. I was thinking about you every single day. Every drill, every run, every night I couldn't sleep. I thought if he can make it, so can I. And here we are. I swallowed, blinking back a memory of our forced goodbye years ago. I never wanted to leave you behind. You didn't, he said, his voice softening slightly. We just had different paths to walk. But we've come back to the same road now. That's what matters. I felt a surge of relief, but the world around us was unforgiving. A commander's whistle shrieked in the distance. Move. Now. We ran side by side, silently matching each other's pace. I realized something. Our years apart had made us stronger individually, but together we were unstoppable. During a break, I whispered, "Do you want to train together? Secretly, I mean. Push each other beyond limits." Daniel's eyes glinted. I was hoping you'd say that. I've been looking for someone who can keep up. Someone I can trust completely. I nodded. Then it settled. No one else, just us. We make ourselves stronger. For each other. Yes, he said, a hint of a smile tugging at his lips. For each other. And for the past they tried to destroy. Over the next weeks, we trained in silence, pushing ourselves until our muscles burned, until sweat poured down our faces, until every breath was a struggle. Daniel was relentless. Don't stop, he'd bark. Pain is temporary. Weakness is permanent if you let it be. You're insane, I gasped once, collapsing on the grass. No, he said, leaning over me, breathing hard. I'm realistic. We survive by being stronger than everyone else. And we're not finished yet. I groaned but pushed myself up. Fine. One more lap. Good, he said, a rare approval in his eyes. You're learning. Night came and we sat in the barracks, silently patching our blisters, muscles aching. I can't believe how far we've come, I whispered. Daniel shook his head. They made us stronger by trying to break us. Funny, isn't it? The family that rejected us, they created something unstoppable. I nodded slowly. I guess they underestimated us. They always do, he said, voice low. And now we know what it means to rely on each other. No one else. Just us. That's our power. The next week we were assigned a field mission together. The commander briefed us quickly, leaving no time to question. Daniel and I exchanged a glance. Ready? I asked. He nodded. Always. Let's survive this. The mission was brutal. Gunfire, smoke, confusion. I felt my heart hammering, adrenaline screaming. Then came the explosion. Dirt and debris hit me. I coughed, choking, and heard Daniel shouting, "Get up! Now!" I stumbled toward him, coughing. I can't." "Yes, you can," he yelled. "Trust me. I've got you." He grabbed my arm, pulling me up just as another blast shook the ground. My legs trembled. My heart threatened to give out. But Daniel's grip held me steady. "I won't let you die." I trust you," I gasped. "And I trust you," he said. We survived together. Always together. We finished the mission battered but alive. The near-death moment cemented something inside me. We were no longer the boys who begged for approval, no longer the scared cousins abandoned by family. We were soldiers, partners, brothers forged by fire and betrayal. Later, in the quiet of the barracks, I said softly, "I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm glad they pushed us away. It led us here." Daniel looked at me, his expression unreadable for a moment, then he nodded. "Me too. Pain made us stronger. Separation made us stronger. And survival made us unstoppable." I felt a rare smile tug at my lips. "We survived everything, didn't we?" "Yes," he said, voice firm. "And we'll survive whatever comes next. Because we have each other. And no one can take that away." I let the words sink in. For the first time in years, I didn't feel fear or anger toward the past. I felt power. Control. A bond that no one could break. "Tomorrow," I said, stretching my sore arms, "we train harder. Push each other further." Daniel smirked faintly. "I was hoping you'd say that. Pain is our friend now." I laughed quietly. "Our friend and our teacher." "Exactly," he said. "And together we're invincible." As I lay on my bunk that night, exhaustion pulling at me, I realized something profound. The family that rejected us had no idea what they were creating. They had tried to destroy two boys, but in doing so, they forged two soldiers who trusted only each other, who would survive anything, and who would return stronger than ever. I closed my eyes and whispered to the dark, "We're ready for everything. Together." The explosion hit before I even saw it coming. Dust and smoke filled the air, screams echoed, and I stumbled, coughing. Ethan was beside me. "Move. Move," he shouted. I grabbed his arm. "I can't. It's too close." He grabbed my shoulders, eyes wide with fear. "You can. We survived together. Trust me." I tried, but the blast threw us apart. When the dust cleared, Ethan was gone. My stomach turned cold. "Ethan?" I shouted, my voice breaking. Daniel appeared, gun raised, eyes scanning the chaos. "He's gone," I whispered. He didn't make it." Daniel's jaw tightened. "Focus. Don't let this break you." I shook my head violently. "How can I focus? He was my friend." "I failed him." "You didn't fail him." Daniel snapped. "We all risk this. All of us. But surviving is what matters now. Come on." I followed, but my legs felt heavy, my heart heavy with guilt. Each step was a reminder of Ethan's empty place. We reached the extraction point, but bullets whizzed past us. I dove behind cover, chest pounding. "Daniel." "I can't." "Yes, you can," he yelled. "Get up. Move." A sharp pain exploded in my side. I fell, vision blurring. Then a hand grabbed me. "Daniel. I've got you. Stay with me." "Daniel," I gasped. "You're hit." He shook his head. "Doesn't matter. You're coming with me." We dragged ourselves to the evacuation point. I held on to him as if letting go meant losing everything. His eyes were steady, focused, even with blood seeping through his uniform. "You idiot," I muttered, tears stinging. Why did you?" "Shut up and move," he said gruffly. "Don't argue. Survive. That's all that matters." We made it to the chopper, and I held him as they lifted him inside. "You'll be okay," I whispered, though my chest ached with doubt. "You better be," he said weakly. "I'm not dying yet." The flight to the field hospital was quiet except for machines and the hum of the engine. I sat beside him, gripping his hand. "I should have protected him," I muttered. "I should have protected Ethan." "I can't believe he's gone." Daniel coughed. "Survivor's guilt, it's normal. You're alive. That's what matters. Remember why we trained so hard." "I don't feel like surviving is enough," I said, my voice trembling. Not when he's gone. Not when I failed him. Daniel's hand squeezed mine. You didn't fail anyone. We all risked this. We all knew the cost. But surviving means you honor him. Don't waste it crying. I shook my head. I don't know if I can. I feel hollow. Empty. You'll feel it, he said quietly. Pain doesn't go away. But it teaches you. It makes you strong. Remember that. I closed my eyes, memories flooding me. Daniel and I as kids hiding from our family's wrath, running through alleys, whispering promises. We survived together, we said then. I whispered it now. We survived together. He smiled faintly even in pain. And we always will. No one else matters. Only us. Only survival. That's all that counts. Hours passed. Machines beeped. Doctors worked tirelessly. I stayed beside him, unable to leave. I hate this, I muttered. I hate that it's like this. I hate losing people I care about. You hate powerlessness, Daniel said, voice weak but clear. I know. That's why we train. That's why we fight. So this doesn't break you again. I clenched my fist. I promise. I will never be powerless again. Never. Good, he said, eyes closing briefly. That's all that matters. The mission report came in the next day. Recognition. Medals. Praise. I couldn't feel joy. Not fully. Ethan was gone, and Daniel had paid for me with his body. Every accolade felt hollow. I don't know if I want revenge anymore, I admitted to Daniel, who was awake now, bandaged but alert. I thought I did. I wanted the family to pay. I wanted them to regret everything. But, seeing this, seeing what we've survived, maybe revenge isn't what I need. Daniel's lips curled into a faint smile. Peace is harder than revenge. But survival, surviving together, that's the real victory. I don't know if I can have peace, I said. Not yet. The anger, the betrayal, it's still inside me. But I know I'm not running anymore. Not from them, not from the past, not from myself. He nodded. That's the first step. You're facing it. That counts more than you think. I looked at him, the brother I had almost lost again. Thank you, I whispered. For saving me. For being here. For everything. You do the same for me, he said softly. That's what brothers do. That's what we are. No family, no blood, just us. I nodded, gripping his hand tighter. Just us, I repeated. That night, I walked the hospital corridor alone. The sterile smell, the quiet beeping, the shadows, they reminded me of all I had lost. Ethan. Innocence. Peace of mind. But I also felt something else. A fierce determination, a fire that refused to die. I will survive, I whispered to the empty hall. I will survive everything. I will honor Ethan. I will protect Daniel. And I will never be powerless again. A nurse walked by, glancing at me. Are you okay, soldier? I nodded. Yes, just thinking. About him. About us. You'll be fine, she said kindly. You're strong. I can see it. I smiled faintly. I have to be strong enough for the both of us. Returning to Daniel's bedside, I said softly, we're still here. We survived. We're alive. And we'll keep surviving no matter what comes next. He reached out, hand trembling, and touched my arm. We are together. Always. I nodded, staring at the monitors, the machines, the remnants of chaos and pain. The mission had changed everything. It had taken a friend, nearly taken Daniel, but it had also shown me what real strength meant. I sat beside him, silence filling the room except for our breathing and the distant hum of the hospital. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel fear. I didn't feel shame. I felt control, power, and an unshakable bond with the only person I could ever fully trust. The family that rejected us, the world that tried to crush us, the losses we suffered, they had taught me one truth. I am no longer running from my past. I am no longer powerless, and I never will be again. The ceremony hall smelled of polished wood and pride. Medals gleamed under the lights, uniforms crisp and clean. Daniel stood beside me, tall and steady. I felt no excitement, no rush of joy. Only calm. Can you believe it? He whispered. All these years, and now we're here. I shrugged, letting my hands rest on the railing in front of us. I don't know if I can feel it yet. I thought I'd feel something more. Pride? He asked. Satisfaction. I don't know, I admitted. Maybe just power? Control. That's enough. Our names were called first. The crowd clapped. I straightened instinctively, feeling the weight of every medal on my chest. The applause washed over me, but my eyes scanned the audience. They were there. My family. Sitting together like nothing had ever happened. Richard's face was pale, his jaw tight. Linda avoided my gaze completely. My parents sat frozen, trembling slightly, eyes wide. Daniel leaned close. You see them? I nodded slowly. I do. And they look small. They always underestimated us, he muttered. Now look at them. I let my gaze linger on my parents. They were passive, afraid, hesitant. They had never defended me, never stood up. Now they couldn't hide the shock, the fear, the regret. A hush fell as our commander stepped forward to announce the honors. Today we recognize two soldiers whose courage and determination have set a new standard. Lieutenant Michael Harris and Lieutenant Daniel Moore. The crowd erupted in applause. Daniel's hand brushed mine. We made it, he whispered. I nodded, letting the sound of recognition fill the space. Not for revenge. Not for approval. But because we had survived. Because we had earned everything ourselves. Richard shifted in his seat. He looked at me, eyes narrowing. He's changed, he muttered under his breath to Linda. Linda's lips pressed tight. Don't speak to him. Don't look at him. Not yet. I smiled faintly, not at them but at the power I finally felt. They could see it. They could feel it. But they could not touch it. Our parents' trembling caught my attention. They're afraid, Daniel said softly. For the first time they know they can't control us. I didn't respond. I let the silence speak. It was louder than any words I could say. Years of insults, neglect, betrayal, all dissolved into quiet dominance. Mom? Dad? I whispered under my breath, not loud enough for them to hear. This is us. Not them. Not their approval. Us. Daniel nudged me gently. You ready for your parents' faces? I took a deep breath. I don't need to be ready. I just need to be present. Let them see. Let them feel powerless. The ceremony continued. Commands were given. Salutes were exchanged. Colleagues nodded in respect. Every handshake, every medal pinned, every announcement reinforced the shift. The boy who had been thrown out, the powerless cousin, the broken teenager. None of them existed anymore. After the ceremony, the crowd dispersed for photos. My family stayed seated, hesitant. Richard finally spoke, voice low. Michael. I didn't expect this. I turned slightly, keeping my expression calm. Expect what? I asked evenly. That, to succeed, he stammered. I thought you'd stay weak. I tilted my head. Wait, no, not anymore. I'm done being weak. Linda finally spoke, voice trembling. We never thought. I cut her off gently. You never thought I could rise. You were right. You didn't. But that's on you. Not me. My father's eyes shimmered with something between guilt and awe. Michael, we didn't see. I nodded once. I know. You didn't see me. You didn't see Daniel. You didn't care. And now, that's your choice to live with. My mother's hands twisted in her lap. We didn't mean? Mean? I asked softly. It doesn't matter what you meant. It only matters what you did. And what you did was push me away, let Daniel be afraid too, and leave us alone. That's your past. We're the present. Daniel leaned close. And we're moving forward. Together. I glanced at him, a silent acknowledgement passing between us. Years of shared pain, shared betrayal, shared survival. This was our moment. Not theirs. Richard's jaw tightened. You've grown stronger. Too strong. We can't control you. No, I said evenly. You never could. You never could touch me. Not then. Not now. Not ever. Linda's lips pressed tight. She didn't speak, only looked down. The power dynamic had shifted completely. They were humbled, almost small in our presence. And I realized something. I didn't feel anger. Not really. Only calm satisfaction. My parents finally rose, tentative as if approaching a dangerous animal. My father said, Michael? Daniel, we were proud. Truly. I studied his face. Fear, regret, longing, it was all there. Proud? I asked softly. You mean, proud that we survived what you couldn't support? Proud that we succeeded despite you? He faltered. Yes, I suppose. I shook my head slightly. That's fine. You don't need to understand. Just know that we did it. On our own. My mother's eyes shimmered with tears. We should have helped you. Protected you. Loved you. I let the words hang. Maybe. But you didn't. And that's why we learned to protect ourselves. That's why we learned to survive. That's why we're standing here, medals on our chests, undefeated, unstoppable. Daniel's hand brushed mine. We did this together. Not for them. For us. I nodded. Exactly. For us. Not for anger. Not for revenge. Just success they can never touch. Richard and Linda looked away, humbled. My parents, trembling, softened into quiet acceptance. But they couldn't erase the years of neglect. They couldn't erase the pain. They could only witness our rise. And that, I realized, was the ultimate power. Success. Control. A life rebuilt from nothing. A life they could never reclaim, a life we forged ourselves. I straightened, feeling the medals on my chest, feeling the respect in the room, feeling the quiet acknowledgement of power shift. We're done running, I whispered. Daniel's eyes met mine. We're done running. And nothing can touch us now. Nothing. I looked at my family one last time before turning away. Not with anger. Not with hate. But with calm certainty. The boy who left home broken was gone. The soldier standing here beside his brother, beside his friend, was unshakable, unbroken, and finally free. Let's go, I said to Daniel quietly. Our future starts now. He nodded. Together. Always. And as we walked out of that hall, medals clinking softly, applause still ringing, I realized something profound. The family that had tried to destroy us, that had disowned and underestimated us, had unwittingly created the very strength they could never touch. And that, I knew, was the best revenge. I felt them approaching before I saw them. My parents. Hesitant steps on the polished floor. My mother's hands trembled. My father's jaw tightened, eyes downcast. I said nothing, letting the silence stretch. Michael, my mother whispered, voice breaking. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I'm so sorry. I should have. I held up a hand. Don't start with apologies you never meant before. This isn't easy and it never was. She shook her head violently. No, you don't understand. I should have protected you. I should have. You didn't, I said softly, voice low but steady. You didn't protect me. You didn't even look at me when I needed you most. You let Richard and Linda hurt me. You let them silence Daniel. You let us both be abandoned. My father stepped forward, face pale. Michael. I should have stepped in. I should have stopped them. I was afraid. Afraid? I snapped, anger flaring like a fire I had carefully contained for years. Afraid of what? Losing your comfort? Afraid of telling the truth? Afraid of me? He flinched, but his voice wavered. Yes. I was afraid. Afraid of conflict, of making mistakes. I see that now. I am sorry, son. I stared at him, silence stretching. My chest tightened. Sorry doesn't fix years of silence. Sorry doesn't bring back what you stole from me, trust, love, safety. Sorry doesn't erase abandonment. My mother cried openly now. Please, Michael, please forgive me. We didn't know how to handle it. We were lost too. Daniel's hand brushed my back lightly. He stood steady beside me, unshaken. His presence grounded me, reminded me that I was no longer a boy lost in fear. I looked at them, measuring each word. You weren't lost. You chose comfort over courage. You chose silence over action. And because of that, I almost never survived my own life. I almost let anger and despair define me. Richard's face appeared behind them. He looked smaller somehow, his pride gone, replaced with unease. Michael. I never wanted this. Only what? I interrupted, voice rising slightly. Only to protect your pride? Only to keep us in line? Only to make sure your control remained unchallenged. He swallowed. I was scared. Afraid you'd surpass me. Afraid I'd be humiliated. I didn't know. I didn't know how to handle everything. I let the words wash over me, felt their weight. Fear, pride, selfishness, regret. I took a deep breath. You can explain yourself all you want. But your fear and pride almost destroyed me. And Daniel, you pushed us away. And for what? Control? Comfort? Ego? Daniel's eyes met mine. Stay calm, he whispered. Don't let them pull you into their guilt. I nodded slightly. I'm calm, I said. I'm not here to argue. I'm here to speak my truth. And my truth is this: abandonment hurts more than anger. Silence kills more than betrayal. And yet that same pain forged me. Made me stronger than you ever imagined. Made me survive when you expected me to fail. Made me rise when you hoped I'd fall. Richard flinched. I didn't know you felt. Don't speak for me, I said sharply. I survived. I grew. I became someone you cannot touch, cannot break, cannot belittle. That is the consequence of your choices. Not my weakness. Not my failure. Yours. My mother sobbed quietly. Michael, please, we're sorry. Can you forgive us? Can you, please? I closed my eyes, thinking of every lonely night, every insult, every moment of fear. I thought of Daniel standing firm beside me, unbroken. I thought of the soldiers I had trained with, the pain I had endured, the losses I had survived. I opened my eyes slowly. Forgiveness isn't something I can give right now. Maybe someday. Maybe never. But what I can give you is this, truth. I will not lie. I will not pretend. I will not forget. And I will not let your past choices define my present. My father's lips trembled. Michael. You only failed us. That's enough. Richard lowered his head. I thought I was protecting the family. I didn't see. Protecting the family? I echoed bitterly. You destroyed it instead. You destroyed trust, safety, love. You turned your family into fear. Into silence. Into survival by hiding. That is what you did. Linda avoided my gaze entirely, silent. I could see the shame in her posture, the humiliation she could not hide. Daniel squeezed my shoulder lightly. You said what needed to be said, he murmured. Now step away. Leave it in the open, but don't let it consume you. I nodded. I've said it. And now, I leave it here. Not with hate. Not with anger. But with clarity. You see us as adults now. You see that your actions have consequences. You see that silence doesn't protect you anymore. It protects no one. My parents' shoulders slumped, the weight of truth pressing on them. My mother's voice broke again. We don't deserve this, but thank you for saying it. Thank you for surviving. I didn't answer. I turned toward Daniel. Come on, I said softly. He matched my pace silently. Feeling lighter? He asked quietly. Not lighter, I admitted. Heavier actually. Walking away feels heavier than hate ever did. But cleaner. Clear. Stronger. Daniel nodded. That's growth. That's strength. That's what they can't take from us. I glanced back once at my family sitting quietly, humbled, ashamed, powerless. They wanted control. They wanted fear. They wanted obedience. They got silence. And the only thing they can't take is who we became without them. We walked out together, side by side, into the evening air. The sky was fading gold, shadows stretching long across the courtyard. I inhaled deeply, letting the weight settle, letting the clarity sink in. You were right, Daniel said quietly. Abandonment forged us. Pain created us. Survival defined us. And now nothing can break us. I know, I said softly. And nothing will. The sound of the doors closing behind us echoed like a final statement. No words needed. No forgiveness forced. No anger needed. The moral balance had shifted. The confrontation was over. The truth had been spoken. Walking away, the clean, cold weight of justice without violence pressed on my shoulders, heavy but solid. And for the first time in years I felt complete, not through revenge, not through hate, but through the simple, undeniable fact that I had survived, had spoken, had risen. And that was enough. I got the call while I was reviewing reports at the base. Daniel's voice was calm but carried a weight I couldn't ignore. You're not going to believe this. What? I asked, already sensing trouble, or maybe justice. Richard lost his job, Daniel said. Completely. Company decided he wasn't fit for leadership. His pride, his ego, finally caught up with him. I let out a dry laugh. I don't feel happy about it. Strange, isn't it? Daniel chuckled softly. Closure, not joy. Remember that. I rubbed my temples. Closure, yeah, that's right. I don't want revenge anymore. I don't need it. I just want balance. Balance is happening without us, Daniel said. We survived. We grew. And now the universe is doing its part. The next week more news arrived. Linda's lies, the ones she spread to discredit me and Daniel, surfaced at work. Her colleagues found out she had falsified reports to make herself look better. Public humiliation followed. I listened to Daniel recount it over the phone. She's trying to explain herself, but no one believes her. She's lost credibility. I didn't celebrate. I simply nodded to myself. Karma doesn't need my applause. It works quietly. Daniel laughed lightly. Quietly and completely. Like a shadow you can't escape. I leaned back in my chair, letting the weight of it all settle. Years of fear, abandonment, betrayal, and now the scales were tipping. I didn't feel vindictive. I only felt complete. Do you ever think about them? I asked Daniel later that night over video call. About our family? All the time, he said honestly. But differently now. I've let go of anger, Michael. I really have. I swallowed. I think I have too. Not completely maybe, but enough. Enough to know that they don't control me anymore. Enough to see the consequences without needing to enforce them myself. Daniel smiled faintly. Exactly. Karma doesn't wear a uniform, but it finds everyone in the end. We just needed to survive long enough to see it unfold. I nodded, staring at my reflection on the screen. I used to dream about revenge. Every night I imagined it, confronting them, making them feel powerless. But now it's unnecessary, Daniel finished for me. They've already faced it in their own ways. I thought about Richard, humiliated and jobless. About Linda, exposed and whispered about in the office. About my parents, humbled and fearful, learning the cost of neglect too late. And we? I asked. What did we gain? Freedom, Daniel said without hesitation. Control over our lives. Our own paths. And understanding that our strength doesn't come from them, it comes from us, together. I smiled faintly, thinking of the boy I had once been. The one who begged for approval, feared silence, and ran from pain. That boy was gone. I had survived and I had grown. I spoke softly. It's strange. I expected anger to feel satisfying. Revenge to feel sweet. But watching them falter without lifting a hand feels cleaner, calmer, complete. Daniel nodded. Closure doesn't need a fight. You don't need to punch, push, or yell. You just need to live, thrive, and let life do the work. I let the words sink in. They underestimated us. They thought fear, lies, and silence would keep us small. They didn't know we were already rising, even as they tried to hold us down. They still don't, Daniel added. And now they can't. No matter what they do, no matter how hard they try, they can't reach us. Not anymore. I thought of our medals, our uniformed presence at the ceremony. The pride that couldn't be stolen. The respect earned through struggle and perseverance. I realized something. Success was the purest revenge. Not anger. Not shouting. Not confrontation. Simply thriving where they once tried to crush us. I think I understand now, I said quietly. It's not about making them pay. It's about showing the world, and ourselves, that we survived. That we became unbreakable. That our worth is not defined by them. Daniel's voice softened. Exactly. And you've done it beautifully, Michael. We both have. I looked around my room, the quiet hum of the bass around me. I remembered nights spent crying, nights spent alone, nights wishing Daniel hadn't been the only one standing with me. And now we were officers, survivors, men shaped by adversity. I don't miss the past, I admitted. I don't long for the approval I never received. I just appreciate the journey that brought me here. The losses, the pain, they taught me more than love ever did. Daniel chuckled lightly. And the irony? The same people who tried to destroy us are now witnessing our rise. Quietly. Hopelessly. And we never even needed to act. I let out a slow breath. Power doesn't always roar. Sometimes it arrives quietly, leaves its mark and moves on. I think I've finally understood that. That's wisdom, Michael. Real wisdom, Daniel said. And it suits you well. I paused, thinking about my family again. Do you think they regret it? Eventually, Daniel said. But that's not our concern. Let them wrestle with their choices. We have our own lives now. Our own paths. I smiled faintly. And peace. I think I've finally found that too. Not the naive peace of childhood, but the calm understanding that I am no longer their prisoner. That I am free. Daniel's eyes softened. And I feel it too. We've let go of anger, of fear, of the weight they tried to place on us. Karma didn't need our help. It arrived. And we survived long enough to see it. I nodded, letting the quiet settle around us. The past was a shadow that lingered, but it no longer defined me. I had faced it, survived it, and now I could live fully without carrying its chains. Do you ever think about Ethan? I asked, voice low. Daniel's face darkened for a moment. Every day. We lost him. But we honor him by living. By thriving. By letting life unfold even without him. I nodded. That's right. That's what survival is. Not just enduring but living fully. Even in memory of those we lost. We stayed on the call a while longer, sharing stories of missions, training, and the quiet victories that no one would ever see. We laughed softly, remembering hardships, challenges, and small triumphs. Finally, I said quietly, Karma doesn't wear a uniform. It doesn't demand attention. Just happens. And sometimes it's better that way. Quiet, complete, inevitable. Daniel smiled faintly. I couldn't agree more. We've done our part. Survived. Thrived. And now, we can simply watch life do the rest. I sat back, letting the weight of the words sink in. Years of pain, of betrayal, of struggle, had culminated in this quiet justice. Not loud. Not violent. Not vengeful. Perfect in its inevitability. Yes, I said softly to myself. Karma wears no uniform. It needs no witness. It arrives, and sometimes that's all that matters. Daniel's voice, warm through the speaker, added softly, and we're alive to see it, Michael. Alive to live it. Alive to thrive. I nodded slowly, a sense of completion settling deep inside me. Alive, I whispered, and free. Finally free. The sun glinted off the polished brass of the rifles as we stood in formation. Daniel beside me, steady and calm, the metals on our chests catching every ray. The crowd clapped, voices mingling with the steady cadence of marching boots. You ever think we'd get here? Daniel whispered, just loud enough for me to hear. I glanced at him, a faint smile tugging at my lips. Not in a million years. But here we are. And we're not kids anymore. We're not victims. We're soldiers. We're brothers. He nodded, eyes scanning the crowd, catching faces I didn't recognize. People out there see us as heroes. They don't know the years it took to get here. They don't know the nights we stayed awake, wondering if we'd survive our own lives. I let out a quiet laugh. And the ones who should have been our support, our family, they're just shadows now. Watching. Too late. They underestimated us, Daniel said softly. Always did. But we didn't need them. Not then. Not now. I shook my head, remembering every bitter word, every cold silence, every night spent alone with shame and anger pressing down on me. I was abandoned, I admitted quietly, and it nearly destroyed me. But every time I thought I'd break, I remembered you. Remembered that someone believed in me when no one else would. Daniel's hand brushed mine lightly. I was always going to. Always. And you did the same for me. That's why we're standing here, medals on our chests, unbroken. A commander's voice cut through the quiet. Lieutenants Harris and Moore, forward march. We moved in sync, boots pounding the asphalt, rhythm and discipline second nature. The parade flowed around us, applause rising, banners waving. I felt the weight of history pressing on my shoulders. Every slight, every insult, every betrayal, it was gone now, replaced by respect earned through fire and perseverance. I stole a glance at Daniel. Do you ever think about them? I asked quietly. About our parents, Richard, Linda, all those years lost? He shook his head slowly. Sometimes. But it doesn't hurt anymore. Those wounds shaped us. They taught us who we are. And who we don't need to be. I nodded. I used to want approval. From them. From anyone. But now, I don't. I only need to know that I can survive, that I can thrive, that I can define my own worth. A few children in the crowd waved small flags. Their innocent excitement reminded me of the boy I had once been. The one who dreamed of safety, of love, of a family that would see him. That boy was gone, replaced by a man forged in fire, tempered by betrayal, strengthened by survival. Daniel's voice broke through my thoughts. Michael, look at us. Standing here together. Not broken. Not bowed. Not asking for approval. We reclaimed our power, our lives. And it's ours. Fully ours. I let out a slow breath. I think I understand now. Being torn apart, it was necessary. To become whole, I had to be broken first. To rise, I had to fall. And I did. But I rose. And we rose. Not to punish anyone, not to seek revenge, but to prove that we never needed their approval to begin with. The commander barked another order, and we executed it flawlessly. Daniel and I moved as one, a single unit forged through years of struggle, pain, and shared determination. Each step, each turn, each salute was a reminder of what we had endured and what we had earned. I thought about the medals pinned on my chest, the respect in the eyes of our fellow soldiers, the admiration from strangers. None of it could erase the past, but none of it could be taken from us either. We had reclaimed our lives in full, and that was more satisfying than any revenge could have been. Daniel leaned slightly toward me. Do you feel it? The shift? Not just in them but in ourselves. I nodded slowly. Yes. Power reclaimed. Justice through growth. And understanding that family isn't always blood. Sometimes it's loyalty, trust, shared struggle. That's the family I've built. That's the family we've built. He smiled faintly. And it's stronger than any bond tied by fear or control. We chose this. And it's unbreakable. I let my eyes wander over the crowd one last time, catching glimpses of our parents, Richard, Linda. Their expressions were muted, a mixture of pride and regret, respect and disbelief. I felt none of the old anger. Only clarity. Only recognition that the boy who needed them was gone. Only the man who didn't need anyone but his brother remained. You know, Daniel said quietly, they probably expected us to beg, to falter, to regret leaving. Instead, we became everything they feared. I chuckled softly. Not out of spite. Out of necessity. Out of survival. Out of growth. We didn't need to prove anything to them. We needed to prove it to ourselves. A whistle blew, signaling the next formation. I adjusted my stance, shoulders back, chest forward. Each movement precise, each step deliberate. Discipline was no longer a punishment, it was liberation. Daniel matched my pace, silent agreement in every motion. We didn't need words to confirm what we both knew. The boy who cried for love, for acceptance, for approval, he was gone. And in his place stood two men who survived, who endured, who thrived, and who reclaimed everything that had been denied to them. I whispered under my breath, just loud enough for Daniel to hear. We are not victims. Not anymore. No, he replied softly. We are the survivors. And we are brothers. Forever. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows over the parade. I inhaled deeply, feeling the cool air fill my lungs, feeling the steady rhythm of life moving forward. Pain, loss, betrayal, they had all shaped me. But they no longer defined me. I glanced at Daniel again, catching his eye. We lost a lot. Childhood. Innocence. Trust. But we gained everything else. Strength. Discipline. Respect. Brotherhood. And finally, freedom. He nodded. And nothing anyone says or does can take that from us. I let out a quiet laugh, the sound mingling with the applause and the marching boots. We were abandoned as boys. But we returned as men. Not to seek approval, not to demand recognition, but to prove one simple truth. We never needed it. Not then. Not now. Not ever. Daniel's hand brushed mine briefly in silent acknowledgement. And that's the legacy we carry. Not bitterness. Not hate. But strength. Survival. Brotherhood. I let the words settle, heavy and satisfying in their finality. A legacy forged in pain, tempered in fire, and sealed with discipline and loyalty. That is our story. The crowd erupted again, cheering as the parade reached its climax. I saluted automatically, feeling the weight of the moment, feeling the culmination of years of struggle and endurance. The applause washed over me, but I didn't seek it. I only felt the quiet satisfaction of being whole. Daniel's voice broke through my reverie one last time. We're home. In every sense that matters. I nodded. Yes. And we've redefined what home means. Family isn't always blood. Family is loyalty. Family is trust. Family is survival. And we've built it ourselves. Together. The final whistle blew. The parade ended. Soldiers and civilians alike began to disperse, leaving Daniel and me standing in the golden light of evening. I let my gaze drift over the emptying streets, absorbing the moment, absorbing the truth that had taken years to learn. I whispered softly, more to myself than anyone else, we were torn apart to become whole. And we are whole. Finally. Truly. And nothing can ever take that from us. Daniel's hand brushed mine once more, a quiet anchor in a world that had tried to pull us apart. Together, he said simply. I smiled, a real, unburdened smile, feeling every scar, every tear, every loss transform into something unbreakable. Together, I echoed. And as we walked side by side, leaving the parade behind, medals glinting, respect earned, and life reclaimed, I knew one undeniable truth. I had been abandoned as a boy, but I returned as a man. Not for them. Not for approval. Not for revenge. But for myself. And that, finally, was enough.